Hello, right. So, I'm Nick Palmer, Bizenko Social Enterprise, and just like you to look at this diagram to begin with. This diagram is basically to show some of the dangers of only relying on traditional careers advice. By traditional careers advice, I'm talking about the how to write a CV, how to prepare for an interview, how to behave at assessment day. Some of that information is really useful. You need to understand it as part of the process of getting a job, but it isn't in the long-term interests of the individual to rely only on that kind of information. Okay? That kind of information is designed to get you through a process of finding a job. But careers advice surely is about your career, and your career starts when you actually get a job, not the process that you need to go through in order to get a job. So I think they've got the name wrong somewhere. Okay? What happens if you don't actually know what job you want to do or what career you want to follow at the point of leaving education? And we've done research, and about 73% of the people we interviewed, and we interviewed 1,000 people, 73% of them, aged 18 to 25, didn't know what they wanted to be. So how can you offer practical, useful careers advice if people don't know what they want to be? I don't think it's possible. So what we're trying to do is give you information that's generically useful to whichever job you might get when you land on the other side. Whether you're working in a factory, working in a retail environment, working in a professional services firm, any kind of job, there are certain skills and certain knowledge that will be useful to you in every work environment. And that's what we're trying to teach. That's what we think is careers advice, not the how do I go through a process in the hope that somebody will give me a job. Because if you don't know what you want to do, or if you can't get a job, you're not actually learning anything that'll help you grow. An additional problem comes from the employers. At the point that you're making an application for that first job, the employers are faced with a large number of people who are in essentially exactly the same situation as you. Their experience and academic experience is essentially equivalent to yours. What you need to understand is that in order for the employer to give you a job offer, you need to offer something over and above what the other candidates can offer. And typically, that is not a better looking CV, that is not a better grade, it's your understanding of what the employer does and how your skills can benefit the employer. One of the great challenges of this situation is that the system assumes that everybody knows what they want to do for life. That it assumes that they will get a qualification which will lead to a job offer, and that a career will develop naturally once a job has been started. That's not the case. Lots of employers don't have the resource, the time, the investment to develop your career as you need your career to develop. There's mutual benefit. You get employed, you get job security, they get your labour. But it doesn't necessarily give you the additional skills that you need for your career to develop over time. So the big assumption is that CV plus qualification equals job equals career. That assumption is wrong. To let you know how you compare to others in your situation, I've got some research results here. Last year, Bizenko did some research into 1,000 job seekers aged 18 to 25 and their levels of confidence about their ability to conduct a negotiation with an employer. And we found that only 32% of people in your situation were confident that they could negotiate the best outcome for their immediate career needs. That's a lot of people who did not feel confident that they understood that negotiation. I'm pretty sure, having been an employer and a hiring manager, that the reason people don't feel confident is because they don't know enough about the employer organisation. As an employer, as a hiring manager, I'm going to give a job to the person who meets a certain number of qualifications and requirements for the job, but I'm going to give the job to the person who demonstrates an understanding of what this organisation does, what my organisation needs to do, what they've researched about the challenges facing my organisation. That person, the person who demonstrates that understanding, is automatically ahead of somebody who may have superior academic qualifications because they know what I need. That's the nature of a two-way negotiation. This illustrates one of the real dangers of relying on traditional careers advice, because if you only follow the advice about CV writing and interview skills, you reach this point, this bottleneck, and you don't stand out from the crowd. There's too many people in exactly the same situation as you are for you to be able to add any value to the employer. We already know that there is no link between academic performance, academic ability, and ability and aptitude to do a job. There's no link between academic performance and performance in employment. What employers are looking for is people who are enthusiastic, hungry, keen to learn about an organisation, and the employer then can take their enthusiasm and skill and to develop it in the best way for that particular organisation. That's not the same thing as simply writing a CV and presenting yourself to the job market. This is a perfect example of how Bizenko can assist your career planning. Everything that you may have been told about career planning in education, how to write a CV, how to prepare for an interview, is merely to do with the process. What Bizenko teaches you is everything to the right-hand side of the river in this diagram. You don't only want to be in a position to enter the job race, you want to be in a position to benefit from skills that you need once you've got a job. You don't want to hit a brick wall and stagnate. You want to grow as an individual, because if you can't get a job, or if you don't know what you want to be yet, you need to continue to develop until such time that you do have a job, or until such time as you do know what you want to do. Just to give you an illustration, can you read that? This is information fresh off the press for 2016 this year, and it comes from an organisation called the CBI, the Confederation of British Industries. They are a collection, they represent employers in the UK, and these are the most important factors for employers in the UK when they're recruiting school and college leavers. And you can see that attitude and aptitude is considerably more important to employers than academic results. Okay? Employers don't need a B in English. They need people who are literate. They don't need a B in maths. They need people who are numerate, but it's not the qualification that's most important to them. It's the attitude and the aptitude. It's the skills, how you understand what they do. Now, what you'll notice is at the bottom, business awareness, which I think is very important, is towards the bottom of the pile. Now, what we have to understand is getting a job is a two-way negotiation. You have to understand what's in it for you as well as what's in it for them. An employer feels that as long as they've got the right person with the right attitude, they can train them for the rest. Okay? What you need to understand is that's okay, but I need to make sure I'm in the top three people in the interview process. So from an employer's point of view, they just want three people who've got great attitude, and then they can train the good ones up from there. From your point of view, you need to make sure that you are in that top three. How do you do that? Well, you probably got to have a greater breadth of business awareness than the other 97 who've applied. There's an equivalent figure. Oh, pardon me. So this is employer satisfaction with school and college leavers. And the yellow is not satisfied, the black is satisfied, and the red is very satisfied. Okay, so what's the skill that they are least satisfied about? Business and customer awareness. Okay, so this is an indication as to why Bizenko can help your career. It's not what other people get out of the application process that you need to be worried about. Schools and employers and universities, they'll always look after themselves. What do you need to get out of it? And the answer is you need to boost your business awareness, your general commercial awareness, because that's critical not only to getting a job, but actually how that career develops once you have a job. Because employers will train you according to the requirements they have for that job. The generic skills that you need to develop your career over time comes from your investment in your understanding of a breadth of customer and business issues. And that's what Bizenko helps you with.